Watching Show. On this show, we watch new movies in the theater. If you don't want to go to the theater and see a movie this weekend, you don't have to. You can stay home and watch some Netflix movies and join us on Movie Club by going to netflix.com/SourceFed. I'm Steve Zaragoza.
And I'm DJ Wooldridge.
DJ, thanks for joining me, man.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
I know. We had a blast in the movie theater. What did we see?
We saw Robocop.
Ooh.
The remake to the 1987 classic.
Yes, we did. And, you know, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the review here, thank you very much, I must say that I went into this movie thinking two things. First of all, why are you remaking Robocop?
Yeah.
And second of all, why are you remaking Robocop? And then the third, so I actually thought three things. Why are you remaking Robocop as a PG-13 movie?
Yeah. Robocop's one of those movies you look at and you're kind of like, it's still relevant. Like there's not really, you don't really feel the need to do a remake, and the sequel's kind of blue.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why are we revisiting this well?
So my quickie review, really quick, after establishing that we were both kind of nervous and afraid
on the fence
of the movie, it was actually good.
Yeah, it was not terrible. Like, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
Not only was it not terrible, like you said, it was actually pretty good. Like, we were entertained.
Yeah. I feel like I don't trust myself anymore. Because it's like, if someone...
What am I thinking?
I know, it's like, who am I? All right, so DJ, who directed this movie?
A gentleman by the name of Jose Padilla. He's from Rio de Janeiro.
As far as direction goes, pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
it was really solid, I thought. I feel like the film did a very good job. When it wasn't trying to be the original Robocop, great.
Yeah.
It was a really solid movie. When it started edging in the territory of the original, I would say, especially in the action aspects, I thought it was weaker because Paul Verhoeven, his directing style in the original was so visceral. And that doesn't just mean blood and gore, which obviously this movie does not have a lot of.
Sure, yeah.
But just the feeling like you're there's an energy to it that I thought the action sequences were more just typical. Like if you've seen Iron Man or any other superhero movie, you've seen the action sequences in this movie.
That's true, that's a good point.
The best remakes are ones that take the original story and then make them something new that's personal to the person that's remaking them. And so the fact that this becomes a commentary about like drone strikes in other countries and the fear of having robots or surveillance in our own country and police states and all that jazz, it was a smart way to update it.
In the original Robocop, we got a lot of political corruption, but we got even more. We turned the political corruption up to 11 in this one.
Yeah.
And we got a little further out of the city of Detroit, and we kind of went into the world of just like kind of weapons engineering, which I guess they kind of did in the original too, but it wasn't the focus in this one. I kind of want to talk about the director just a little bit more because and that'll get into the actors, because we have the guy from The Killing.
Yeah, we've got Joel Kinnaman as Alex Murphy in this one, and he does a really solid job picking up from Peter Weller, which is, I mean, who could pick up from Peter Weller?
We were talking about that.
Yeah.
When we first heard the casting of this movie, who was going to play Robocop, I was like, okay, so I've seen a couple episodes of The Killing, and I feel like this guy doesn't scream Robocop to me. Yeah. But also, Peter Weller was kind of a skinny Joe Nobody type guy, too.
I just recently watched the original Robocop again, and it's funny because you see Peter Weller now, and he looks like Robocop, just normal life. But you look at him then, it's like, oh, it's kind of a skinny guy.
He's just kind of this scrawny guy. He just so happened to be the right guy for the job in the original movie. And in this one, we kind of have this more hardened, really good cop. He's got good conscience. He's got a good conscience, good morals. Really liked this guy from The Killing. We also have, God, so many people. We have Samuel L. Jackson in the movie.
As a conservative pundit.
Which was fantastic. It didn't even hit me till towards the end of the movie where I was like, he's the face of the Republican Party, basically. He's the conservative. This is fantastic. We also have Gary Oldman, who love Gary Oldman, and he just steals the movie for me.
What makes the movie credible is Gary Oldman.
Yes, in every way that you think about it. A robot cop in this future where like there's robots doing things and it's like crime, and you're like, this is already ridiculous. For some reason, Gary Oldman being there and classing up the joint and being well written made it valid. It validated everything.
100%.
Who else do we have? We
have Michael Keaton as the slimy businessman, and he's perfect in it. He's so great.
He injects his little bit of humor and his fun mannerisms. He's doing Michael Keaton.
I feel like at this point, Michael Keaton doesn't do movies that he can't have fun in.
I know, and I love that.
Because he's clearly having fun in this.
It looked like he did have a blast.
Yeah, and of course, I prefer him as Omar from The Wire.
Or Chalky White from Boardwalk Empire.
But Michael K. Williams is in it, and he's awesome is Alex Murphy's partner.
Yeah. Anyway, but we got to give props to the director of this movie because he's got some heavy-hitting major actors in this movie.
Yep, the casting is
A-list fantastic actors. The casting was fantastic. They created this new RoboCop world that works for me and felt good. The action was okay. I know, DJ, you and I are
on the fence on the fence about it.
But the best part about it is that this remake is not about the action, and in fact, the action is actually just, it kind of takes a back seat to the story, which is crazy to say because
for a RoboCop movie.
I would never say that. And if you told me that this new RoboCop focuses on a good story and not action, I really wouldn't have believed you.
Ultimately, they focused on a really cool sci-fi story, which was surprising for RoboCop, and the cast sold it. I bought it.
Yeah. So what's your score, buddy?
I would have to say through most of the movie, I was sitting at an 8 out of 10. The last third gets a little bit action heavy, and like I said, I felt like that was the weakest. I wasn't as invested in that, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Okay, that's fair. And it's funny because I was sitting very solidly on an 8 out of 10 throughout most of the movie, like you said. And I remember leaning over to you a couple of times going like, this is actually good.
Yeah. Surprising both of us,
good. So I don't want to give it an 8 out of 10 because that's what I gave the Lego movie, and I don't think it's better than the Lego movie. It's not better than the Lego movie, so I want to give it 7 out of 10.
Yeah, so we're both at 7 out of 10. But we're not the only ones that saw it. It's got a 67% from audiences and a 50% from critics.
Not so good, but we'll see how it fares over the weekend. And on IMDb, the score is 6.7 out of 10. Not bad for a Friday score. Is that not true?
That's pretty low.
Is it? So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this edition of the New Movie Thing Show. If you want to watch movies on Netflix instead of going to the theater and just stay in the comfort of your own home, you can go to netflix.com/SourceFed and get a whole month of streaming movies for free on us. DJ and I will personally gift that to you, and then you could join us on Movie Club. Also, it must be mentioned that there is kind of like this thing going on in LA where a lot of local comedy groups got together and remade RoboCop scene by scene. Each group was assigned a scene from the movie, and we have to talk about from the original RoboCop, not the remake. And we have to talk about one scene in particular
that I kind of wish was in this one.
I really did too. I was like, are they going to call back to it in some way? Fatal Farm is the comedy group we're talking about, although I have yet to see the whole movie, and our very own Kevin Bruick is actually in it at some point. But Fatal Farm made probably one of the funniest.
Yeah, it's a great riff on one of the most audacious scenes from the original, and they just make it worse. They just make it more audacious and more absurd.
And for me, it is probably the most insane things I've ever seen on the internet. And from me, that is the most glowing review I can give it. So if you want to watch the whole thing, it's called Our Robocop Remake, and you can check out the description to see the whole thing or the scene we're talking about.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit this cool annotation that's popped up in the interim of us talking.
Yeah, and also there's a bunch of other things to click on too, like this annotation with a bunch of stuff, but who cares? You know?
I mean, we're talking about RoboCop. We're talking about the fact that this RoboCop remake actually isn't terrible. You know what? Despite what this movie says, I would buy that for $1.
Awesome. Oh, Jackie Earle Haley!
Jackie Earle Haley's in it!